Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics for the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Multiverse TV. I am Peter, and unfortunately, Matt could not be with us today. He's at WonderCon. Connor is here though.
Yeah, no need to sound so disappointed.
I just love that even when Matt's not here, he still gets second billing.
Of course.
I think next time
you will have your comeuppance.
I'll introduce all three of the cats before I introduce you next time, maybe, just to really hit it home.
See, you say that, but you'll forget, so it's fine.
I might forget, we'll see. I don't know, I might remember that because it'll upset you. So yeah, we talk about DC Comics on this show, and coming up on this week's episode, we have Heroes in Crisis issue 7, Action Comics 1009, Wonder Woman 67, The Flash 67, Shazam number 4, Batgirl 33, The Terrifics 14, Silencer 15, and Dial H for Hero number 1. If you're thinking of some stuff missing there, there's a couple of explanations for that. One is that Detective Comics 1000, probably the most notable one, had its own episode. We did a special episode, Matt was here for that. We did a special episode about 100 or so minutes long, and it was just Detective Comics 1000 start to finish, and go and enjoy that. It's already on the feed. It's on the YouTube playlist. Have at it. The other stuff that you might notice is missing is Martian Manhunter and Freedom Fighters. This was basically just a time thing. Especially, I'd kind of decided that I probably wasn't going to read Martian Manhunter because even with Detective Comics already done and out the way, I still had 11 books to do for this show. So I decided to cut Martian Manhunter. Freedom Fighters was literally just, you were ready to go, I hadn't read it yet. I thought, I'll just catch up for the next issue, because it's a hell of a week. It's a hell of a week. It's been a busy week for reading comics. So yeah. But hey, that's the books that are coming up. No news as of yet. WonderCon is in progress. I imagine next week we'll have some things to talk about, but we don't right now.
Literally, the only thing so far is that Detective Comics is changing its logo. That is the only DC Comics thing I've seen.
Yes. So, yeah, I assume next week we'll probably have some good tidbits from it, but at least right now,
so, yeah.
We do not have any news, which I'm actually kind of happy about, because, like we say, we have a lot of books. So, in the interest of keeping this show under a reasonable length, and I know those people who love it when it goes on. I know, like, when we hit 3 hours, we're like, oh man, that was a long one. I felt that. That was 3 hours. I need food. And some people love that though. Some people are like, no, I hope it stretches to 3 hours this week. I hope it goes that long.
No, I get it. There's sometimes when I'm listening to something, I'm like, oh, this is a long one. There's more of it. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'm in work early in the morning, so we're not doing that this time.
And it is later than we normally record it, which I'm fairly certain is Connor's fault, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, it's somewhat my fault, but not entirely. We always planned to start a little bit later tonight without Matt, because we had a little bit more freedom and we had other stuff we needed to do as well. It did end up a little bit later than we'd planned, though.
Yes. So without further ado, though, we'll get into the comics. We'll start with Heroes in Crisis number 7 and go from there. So I love to start off in a positive light, and I'm curious as to how positive or negative Connor will be, because Connor, notably, has not been super positive on Heroes in Crisis recently. But for the record, Tom King writing with Clayman and Jorge Fornes on the art. So,
no, you're right. I've not been super positive. It's why I didn't read it.
Oh,
I left this till last because confession time. I missed last week 4 of this show because I was away. And turns out I forgot to read my books. I didn't notice. I read all the ones that were double shipping. So obviously I'd read those for the previous issue. It never occurred to me that I had other things to read. So I had like 5 extra issues to stack on top of everything else of this week, which was already, relatively healthy. And Heroes in Crisis was by far the thing I was looking forward to the least, because, I've not been enjoying it. And I got to the end, it's like, I don't want to read this. Screw it, I'm not doing it. I don't want to read it anymore. It's making me angry, and I don't want to be angry today.
now I need to sit and talk about Heroes in Crisis on my own.
I know.
Because Matt's not here. I don't know if you noticed this, but Matt's not here.
I know, it's Matt's fault. I'll pretend I read it. I'll nod along. I'll say yes, the art's very good, but Tom King's writing is atrocious.
I feel like
making me angry. He's doing things with there's implications that I don't like.
If you had read this, I think you'd be complaining about the art switching for some pages.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a couple of pages with Batman and Flash that are very different to the rest.
Is it bad art or just jarring?
It's not bad art, it's just jarring in difference.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. I really do. I've seen the title page because I saw Tom King tweet it with all the flowers. I thought, that was a gorgeous image. I'll give it that.
Yeah, that builds up to the end, because the only interviews we get in this one, because obviously we've had the interviews throughout all the issues, it's all Wally. Every interview's Wally. So we're getting to kind of the meat of what's going on.
Oh, it's only taken 7 issues to get to, not for it to be in Wally, to focus on one character for these interviews rather than just flip around.
And Wally starts off quite chipper, and it's basically him breaking down and getting more depressed as these interviews go on. And there's plot with Harley and Booster with Batgirl and Blue Beetle, and then Batman and Flash are looking for people. But the Wally stuff's the big headline and stuff here, so I'm starting with that.
Yeah, because even I'd seen some of the headlines about Wally. I didn't read all of them, but
yeah. So Wally, we know that Wally, the body that was found was 5 days older than it should have been. Right, that's a fact.
yes.
I'm reminded of that fact in this as well, because Booster and whoever bring it up, and Harley's always, so Wally's not dead, and he's like, yeah, but it's been 5 days now since he was found, so I guess he is dead. And like, but is this a rescue mission now? Are we trying to like rescue Wally before he dies? Is that what we're doing now? And I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, let's save Wally. But of course, one of the things that we've been worried about, based on some solicits, based on things that have happened recently, is that Wally's actually the killer. That
yes.
And him getting depressed over the course of this, So we have this scene towards the end where Wally's using his lightning, his speed force, to make some flowers bloom. And we have this full page spread where he's seemingly brought Poison Ivy to life. She comes out of the flower. Right? It's just this blooming kind of... It's a beautiful page.
She's back then.
She's there, she's back. And it's like, okay, alright. Where are we going with this? And then Wally's like, I'm sorry, and she's like, you helped me, you brought me back. He's like, no, I didn't help you, I hurt you, and then I did this doesn't make up for it. And I'm sorry you're going to have to see this. And she's like, what am I going to have to see? You're going to see my death. And he stands up, and there's another Wally staring at him.
Oh, for God's sake.
So there's 2 Wallys, one presumably having travelled through time.
Yeah.
Standing there. And the older one's going to die. So essentially, it feels like there's like a loop happening here with Wally. There's some sort of loop going on with murdering himself. I don't know. I mean, they didn't reveal that he murdered himself yet, but
yet.
Yeah. I mean, the last page of the book's the final interview, and he's like, week 3. I didn't think this would even take 3 weeks, but here we are. And then he just gets more depressed as the page goes on. And then he says at the end, can't wait for week 4. And he looks miserable.
Sounds about right. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm glad I didn't read it. I think this would have infuriated me.
Do you know what's frustrating? Is I actually think the stuff with the other characters is the best it's been the whole book. Like, there's the stuff with basically Booster Gold and Blue Beetle with Batgirl and Harley. It's because at first when we start with their story, Harley's beating the shit out of Booster Gold, or trying to at least. And
get behind that.
It basically, Batgirl and Ted are just sort of standing there going, like, does she know he's got like a shield thing on? He's like, yeah, but I think she's going to try and get through or whatever. And they're just kind of, they're having running commentary. And and Batgirl's like, I told her multiple times not to try and kill anyone, right? And she's immediately trying to kill people. And so, it's just a funny commentary going on.
So Babs feels a bit better in this issue then? Is that what you're saying?
I would say she feels better, yeah.
Yeah. Because I know last time there was some awkward things here or there.
Yeah, there was no You Rock Batman moment or anything like that. There was nothing quite like that. And then eventually it's like, okay, so the four of us are going to team up and try and save Wally. Cause like, oh, should we not take this information to the Justice League, to whoever? And it's like, no, if Wally's feeling hurt, then maybe a smaller team, a smaller, more intimate thing might help better. I'd argue bringing Barry into it might help, given that he's Barry and it's Wally. But
yeah,
I mean, let's ignore that logic for now.
It's not like any of them have a huge connection with Wally, is it?
Not specifically, no. So,
No.
so Brewster gets all, yes, we should do this. And he gets all heroic kind of sounded. He's like, yes, the blue and the gold, and he looks at Harley and Batgirl, and Harley goes, the dynamicer duo, and Babs is like, no. So that side of things was good. I like that they're playing with the Wally time loop stuff. I think my frustration here is that we've spent 7 issues building up Wally's depressed that he might be homicidal, right? No, he's not depressed that he may be he's depressed to the point where he might be homicidal, is what I mean to say.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not depressed because he's homicidal.
And...
Yes, depressed and homicidal. And it's a really hard thing to swallow when you really care about this character. And, like, I feel like they should have revealed some of this earlier on. Like, if we set up the mysteries being more, okay, what's the weird thing that's going on here? But it wasn't. The first, like, 5 issues were, like,
yeah,
you know, reactions to this and all the flashbacks and...
Yeah. I mean, if this had been issue 3... as opposed to 7, you know, and I'd read it obviously at that point, maybe I wouldn't have had a as big a problem with it. But...
I'm expecting a swerve though. I'm expecting that it's not just like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I don't like. I have to assume that the end of this story is that Wally is not a homicidal maniac and he didn't kill everyone. And here's the thing though: is even if he doesn't die, like, do I want Wally West to be around just to be like clinically depressed all the time because his wife and kids are gone? Like, obviously I want them to deal with that, but I want them to deal with that in the sense that I want them to come back and eventually he'll be happy because we'll solve that problem. Instead we have a character, the character who represents what we feel about the New 52 is basically just having to suffer through the fact that it's never getting fixed. So if he represents us, it not only is it depressing because we love Wally, we want Wally to be, you know, good old light-hearted Wally with a sense of humour, but it's also depressing because he reflects us, and if he reflects us and he's depressed and can never have what he wants, then it's like we've been told we're depressed and we can never have what we want.
It says Diddy all over it.
So I have to believe that in the final 2 issues, the actual resolution to this story will leave us in a better place on that front. I really hope it does.
I am noting though that at the start of this book, yeah, at the end of the first issue, you're like, that's fine. It's all gonna be sorted. Don't worry about it. You know, you're really positive and chipper. It's like it's just a comic. It's just shock value. There's nothing to worry about here. And now you're like, I really hope this is where it's going. There's a lot less certainty in your voice.
That's because it was 6 out of 9 or 7 out of 9, and it like,
yeah,
I don't know, like my patience. Even though I've liked a lot of what's been in this book, in places, I do think it's been on too long. I think it's taken too long to cut to the chase of what the actual plot is, and I like some of King's exploration of character. I really do, but some of it's felt a little bit off. Some voices have felt a bit off. And for every scene I've liked, there's been something else that's felt just kind of, I don't know, self-indulgent or whatever. This one is one of the better issues in the series because it actually feels like a lot of things are happening and advancing. It does not feel like it's stalling or
it's one of the better issues because there's plot. Is that what you're saying?
But it also feels like it's getting into some of the mystery, right? And that's great. I think the weird, bittersweet part of it now, though, is that it's so late on in the overall story now that as much as I actually like this issue more from an actual momentum perspective, from an actual, like you say, there's plot perspective, I am terrified of where it's going with Wally. I am actually terrified of where it's going to leave him.
Now the problem is that, okay, if this is the plot, but we're so late, how much time is there left to actually undo this?
And even if we undo it, does it actually in any way leave Wally in a better place than
Yeah.
crushing depression that he's in right now.
I think it will be very hard for this to be, even for people like you who've been mostly enjoying the book, for this to have a satisfying ending to this mystery when we're only really just starting the mystery 3 issues from the end.
I think the problem is that I can see this getting to the end and having its end, and it's like you can see maybe where the craft was and what King was doing. I think this might be a case of at the end of this, I might just sit there and say, conceptually, I just was never going to be on board with what they were going to do with Wally here.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I like Wally more than Barry. I would happily kill Barry in a heartbeat to have Wally around as the Flash.
I mean, I'd say most people do.
Most people our age would. I think there's a younger generation now who would not agree with that. There is now a younger generation who have mainly had Barry.
That's fair.
And there's an older generation who have mainly had Barry. We are, us millennials, and some people who are a bit
Filthy
older.
millennials.
Yes, filthy millennials. And maybe a little bit older as well. Maybe just I'd say Gen X is probably as well. Gen X and millennials, they love Wally West. We do.
Mm.
But whatever's after millennial, we don't have a name for it yet.
We do.
Do we?
Sure we do. Do we not?
Generation Z? Is that what that? Or Z? Generation Z? Is that post-millennial?
I'm sure there was. Yeah, it's the Generation Z, or because obviously millennials are also Generation Y. Is the new silent generation, because there was already a silent generation. This is the new silent generation.
Not silent enough.
Yeah.
That's such an old man.
Do a little bit.
Yeah, what was I getting at? Yeah, so yeah, I'm worried conceptually where this is going. This was definitely one of the better issues, though, in the sense that there wasn't as many problems with the voices feeling off. Some of the Harley stuff with her being excited with working with Batgirl and co was actually pretty funny. Like there's a couple of panels where the four of them, like, they're sitting kind of deflated and basically just try to figure out, is Wally alive? Can we save him? Are we forming a plan here? And it kind of felt like, yeah, four oddballs are sitting down and kind of like, we should try and save the day. And my only critique of this is that Batgirl feels a little bit like an odd duck in this lineup, because if the whole point is here is that four misfits are going to end up saving the day, Batgirl's the one who sticks out as not really being a misfit.
She's on every team.
Yeah, like Booster Gold, Harley Quinn, Blue Beetle. Yes, these are. I mean, Harley's not really a C-lister by any means, but she's wacky and crazy. And then Booster and Blue, the Blue and the Gold, they're C-listers through and through, right? They're the riff-raff. I feel like if you swap Babs with even Stephanie, it would maybe just work a bit better in what it's doing.
What you're saying is King is disrespecting Babs. By even alluding to the fact that she's on the level with these guys.
I wasn't really thinking about it in that sense, but I don't know. Like who should this be instead? I don't know, because I mean, if the ultimate story here is there's a team of, like, let's say if you break this down to just what the plot is, there's some sort of weird time loop that makes Wild West look like he's a killer of a bunch of people at Sanctuary, and there's a mystery to go along with that, and the ultimate thing that's going to help save the day is a team of four misfits and C-listers, not unlike, say, the Legends of Tomorrow, who are going to end up, actually storming in and saving the day when the Trinity couldn't, right?
Yeah, being a little chainsaw.
That sounds like a great story to me. On it, just if you just give me that concept, but so much of Heroes in Crisis is not really that.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. I mean, did I like this issue? I have mixed feelings on it. Like, I've had mixed feelings in the last couple, even though I've liked parts of it.
You've still got to give it a rating.
I do. I'm going to give it a 6.5. I can't quite call it good, even though the art is typically very good. Although, when it comes to Batman and Flash, which honestly, those scenes, I feel like those 2 pages or whatever it was, you could probably just cut out. It didn't
Who did you say the artist was?
Jorge Fornes will be those pages.
That's the guy who did that issue of Batman that I really liked, I think, recently.
Yeah, that's good. Like, it's
pulpy noir one.
Yeah, it's very pulpy, yeah. But it's very Dixie Mann's pages. You turn the page and Batman and Flash are looking a lot more flatter.
That's jarring, yeah. Because I like that art a lot, but I would hate it next to Mann's clean with the sleek colours.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were playing Barry for laughs in those pages, which felt odd
Really?
because yeah, he's doing this thing where he's searching all over the planet, and he keeps like speeding back out of the Batcave to say that they're not in Europe or they're not in South America, and Batman's like like you could just call me on the Bat radio. He's like I'm quicker than the Bat radio, and it felt like it was a comedy scene more than it was anything. And I was like, this is Barry's the one who should be more devastated than anyone right now and taking this seriously, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. 6.5. But like I said, art's typically pretty good. I didn't notice, at least off the top of my head, any sleazy panels like that issue 5 or 4, whatever one that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's actual developments. I'm intrigued by the mystery, and I hope it ends in a better place. It's one of these things though where this story. It's because I always complain that comic fans sometimes like jump the gun when something's solicited early on and they go, oh, it's going to be this, we're going to hate it, and I'm like, no.
I was talking about that with Green Lantern recently.
Yeah, let the story play out and see where it's going. The weird thing with this story though is the way it's been paced by King is it's spent so long just setting up the core idea that people didn't like that you're nervous that they're not going to do the full arc and actually get to the other side at the end where no, this is what it really is, or this is what this is what the heroes learned, this is what's really going on, or whatever.
No, I'm with you.
So, and then the added caveat here is that okay, even if we do fix this by the end, Wally's still a depressing wreck, and I don't know if we can fix that.
Appreciate it.
It's almost like like Wally coming back was this like character that represented the hopes and dreams of the pre-New 52, right? He was the character who represented Rebirth, and
absolutely.
And putting him through this is almost cruel because it's just kind of trying to kill everything we cared about in Rebirth.
We always talk how Wally West represents the hope of Rebirth, right?
Yeah, and I've taken that away from him.
At the start of this book, we said, "Oh, and they killed off hope," right? And it's worse than that.
Well, no, but it's more than that though, because Wally even says in this issue, he says, and he's had this sentiment a couple of times in this book, is that he feels this burden because everyone looks at him like he represents hope, like he feels this burden by everyone around him, but he can't help but think that his wife and kids are missing. He can't be that, and I'm like, you're taking the character who represents this thing to us, and you're making it a burden for him to be that. You're having him tell us that he feels awful.
It's
feeling that way.
It's almost trying to make us guilty for liking Wally West.
Yes, and I don't necessarily think that's the intention. I don't think
no.
This is some master plan that King has worked out with Didio, because I don't think King has a reason to make us want to hate Wally West.
No, Didio does, but don't like King.
Does, but... Anyway, I want to stop being that because I know from Twitter, from when I asked the question, what some people picked Heroes in Crisis, so I know some people really like this issue. And all power to you, by all means. Like, in comments and whatever, give me your takes. Give me why this story's working for you.
Pretty much why I decided just to not read it. I don't have the energy to get angry, and I know I was going to get angry, and I just I don't need that.
And for the record, for anyone who's jumped out of this podcast recently, I was pretty optimistic at the start of this story, and I was pretty upbeat about it.
I was at the start. I wasn't as into it as you. I was a bit more hesitant, but I wasn't I never thought, oh, I'm not going to finish it.
So you're telling me you're not going to finish it? You're not going to catch up on this?
I don't think I am going to go back. Unless I'm in a really bad mood one day and I'm just like, screw it, might as well.
I hope something so important happens in issue 8 that you have to read it.
I don't want to ruin being in a good mood with it's different when it's a book where when I'm not expecting it and it makes me angry. I can't predict that, but this has made me angry 4 issues in a row now. I can relatively accurately predict that I'm gonna hate it.
All right, well, let's move on because I don't want to. That's the thing. I hate starting off with something negative. I hate setting this tone for the show of negativity, especially since you thrive on it.
We've got positive books coming up.
Yeah, well, Action Comics is next, which is also just me. So I hope you like me talking because this is the next part as well.
one. I'll shut up this one though.
Action Comics 1009. Brian Michael Bendis writing, Steve Epting on the art, and they've got Amanda Waller in the Fortress.
Yeah, I've definitely not been listening to a thing you guys have been saying.
Yes, Amanda Waller showed up last issue for help. We do find out that Lois's dad is not dead. He's in hospital, and Lois. Clark goes to see him and check that he's okay and X-ray him and all that. Is what it is. We're in the Fortress. We flash back. Lois is pissed at Amanda. Amanda does seem to know who Clark is. It's like, you think I wouldn't know the secret of the biggest weapon on the planet, kind of. She's been the wall.
Of course she does.
That's what she does. Yeah. There's this great scene where Superman flies off and checks on Sam, and we get more of the scene. We don't get to see the shadowy figure that came after Sam Lane, but we do know that it decided not to kill him and turned away. Waller witnessed that. So Lois punches Waller in the face, and this is a delightful moment. It's funny because Lois immediately starts like going ow and shaking her hand. What I thought was bizarre is that they've got Jimmy in the Fortress as well, because Jimmy was staying at their house before they left. And this is fine in and of itself because obviously Jimmy is has a relationship with Superman. It's no secret that Lois has some sort of working relationship with Superman. What was weird though is when Superman comes back later in the issue, Lois says "Hi, honey" in front of Jimmy, and I thought, wait a minute, Lois, come on there.
Yeah,
come on there. But when Clark goes to see Sam, the Question's in the room. Question's sitting in the corner, being all questiony.
That's what he does.
As you do. Yeah, and he's like, there's a puzzle here. And that's the question. Blah blah blah. So yeah, and he's like, there was no body at the crime scene. They're talking about bones because the DEO building's been there, and Superman, goes to check that. He flies to the former base of Talia al Ghul because obviously at this point we're talking about Leviathan, right?
Yeah.
To question. So he flies to her base, and there's just a note on a chair. It's empty, right? This is a beautiful panel, by the way, when he comes in. There's just this god ray of light hitting this chair. And you go up to the chair, there's just a note that says, "We want the same thing, signed Leviathan." That's all that's there. Then he flies to the Batcave. And he's like, "Hey, Alfred, I need you to check some forensics on this." Because Alfred's like, Master Bruce isn't here, blah, blah. He's like, well, I need you to check some forensics. Can you do that? He's like, "Of course, Clark." And he... So here's the hot controversial topic that's I saw on the Twitters this week.
Oh, there's a hot take on this, is there?
Superman's cape has pockets.
Oh no.
Inside, he lifts up his cape. Alfred gets some tongs and pulls out this note so he can analyze DNA on it and stuff. But there's a pocket. There's a pocket in his cape.
No, I hate that. And this isn't me being anti-Bendis. This is fundamentally something I just hate. Like, no, it's a cape. It's free flowing. You put something in there that weighs it down, and you throw off the whole purpose of the no.
That's just a piece of paper. I mean, it's not.
No, but that's not the point. It's paper now, but the fact that there is pockets. What if he puts his phone in there? Then you've got a big weighty brick dragging down your cape when you fly. No, screw that. Not standing for that.
Only uses it in emergencies. And he's like, "Alfred, you don't get enough credit." And he's like, "It's because he keeps me trapped in this cave all day and night." He's like, "It's a nice cave." It's some just fun Bendis banter, which I know you don't like, but I do enjoy it. He's got the voice for Superman down very well. Turn the page, you bastard thing. So he goes to the DEO, and he actually finds bones. Actually, no, who were they talking about earlier? Because that wasn't Bones they were talking about not having a body at the crime scene. It couldn't have been. Hold on. I've mixed up two scenes here. Hold on. I'm going to confirm who they were talking about. Cobra Cult Massacre. It's you. Not a lot of bodies.
No? Anything?
Oh, there was no bodies at all at the... Yeah, the Argus site or the Cobra site. Yeah, there's something fishy going on because there's no bodies at these exploded. All these buildings that have been exploded. There's no bodies, which is fishy
Okay.
for reasons.
But no one in particular that's
No one in particular, because Superman runs into Bones, and Bones is all aggressive with him. He's like, "You're a liar. Oh, this is all you and your cousin. Yeah, if I find out you've had anything to do with this, you know." He's been all aggressive. Why Bones he thinks he's got a place to argue this, I don't know. But basically, Superman goes around all these places for help. All these all the aftermath of all these locations that have been hit by this thing that's going on, this Leviathan rising, whatever's happening. He goes and sees all. So this is kind of the issue where he really becomes aware of everything that's happening. Because up until now, there's been these things like building up, bubbling up. Jimmy's seen something here. Sam Lane was involved in something here. Now it's like, no, we know something's going on. We think Leviathan's involved. The fact that he even tried to go and see Talia, all this stuff, it feels like the plot's really ticking. So Superman gets back and they're talking with Jimmy and Waller, and basically Lois gets an idea because they're talking about Spiral and how Spiral hasn't been hit yet. So Spiral could be next. And Lois just casually says, Chaz. And Jimmy and Superman just kind of give her this weird look, and he's like, Chaz. And Jimmy's like, do I know a Chaz? And she's like, Chaz! And she's like, Superman, I speak to you on your own. So she whips out a bit of tech, this kryptonite thing, that gives Superman a disguise. He's got a beard, and they're going undercover to Spiral. He's getting his Chaz. What was her name actually? What was her fake name?
So this isn't Chaz, Constantine's taxi driver.
No. Do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is a reference to some obscure thing that happened in a Superman comic a long time ago.
Probably.
He went undercover as Chaz, and this is Bendis like pulling it out of his ass. I like it. Yeah, apparently this image inducer only lasts an hour. This is a job for Chaz.
Very specifically shite.
It's not. This is fun. What are you talking about?
Just yeah. Very. That's a very specific restriction.
I don't know what point you're trying to make.
Everyone else seems to have image inducers that work fine.
Yeah, but this works on him. This changes him.
Why wouldn't it?
It's kryptonite. It's not like just a piece of tech.
Well, fine. I'm not gonna go with it. Let it go. I'm not getting angry.
Yeah, but that's the end of the issue. So they're going in. Yeah, it says. That's what it was. It was at the end. It was the next time. It was Andy and Chaz, agents of Spiral.
More organizations, I see.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well, that's why they're going to Spiral, because they think they might be next.
I get it.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, where's Matt?
I'm just trying to not get angry. I had a good week of comics. I like pretty much all my books. I don't want to be angry today. I'm calm. I'm relaxed.
Yes. Well, I like this issue a lot. This continued the intrigue of Leviathan Rising, because I mean we're all thinking, okay, it has to be a Leviathan as in Talia's group, right? But even this is playing with this sort of mystery where he goes there and like there's just a note. Was it Talia who left that note? Has someone taken over? When we get to the end of Silencer, like, will she still be in power of Leviathan? How does it shake up next to that? I don't know. But I'm intrigued. The art's very good, of course. Epting's solid. There's a lot of raised eyebrows coming from Lois, which entertaining. A lot of 2-page layouts, especially when Superman leaves the fortress to go and fly into all these places. There's a lot of 2-page layouts of him in the Batcave, him in the destruction of DEO or whatever. Like all these different locations. There's a lot of 2-page spreads or 2-page layouts. So, like if you've been enjoying action, this is another issue that's right up there. And then the stuff at the end is actually, I mean, Connor can sit and crack his jokes and be cynical about it, but honestly, it's kind of delightful, and it's kind of fun that next issue we're getting we're getting Superman and Lois working together undercover as, as spies essentially, and everything that entails. So, no, Action Comics, very good. I am giving this a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Just something I noticed. You didn't get given an opinion on the cape pockets. Where do you come down?
I mean, if he's got a slot for emergencies, for something like this, when time requires it, I really have no problem with that. I agree putting something heavy in there would be kind of silly.
Glad we agree.
I don't feel that strongly about it though. If anything, I feel like it's just there for the image of Alfred getting into the cape with some tongs.
That makes it worse.
Why are you bringing this down? I was ready to move on. You had to bring this back up and just complain about it again.
You were talking about how it was a hot topic this week, and then you never actually gave an opinion. And
I was being facetious.
The people deserve an answer.
That will take us on to Wonder Woman 67. G. Willow Wilson writing, Cary Nord on the art. Oh, Matt's not here to complain about the art. Oh.
I know. I read this one.
Oh, finally, a book Connor's read. What a novelty. You've probably read the rest of them, actually, looking at the list. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I've read the rest of
them. Better done. Did you know how bad it looks at this show that you've not read the first two books? The two most important books of the week.
One of them, I'll give you, was the most important book of the week. The other one will be reserved for something later.
Okay.
I would just say definitively any issue 1 is more important than just an issue of Action Comics.
All right. So Giganta and Wonder Woman are hunting Titans. Yes, giants. And they're sneaking around in the forest, and for some reason they can't find them. It's weird, and it turns out they're basically pretending to be Earth, and then get up, and then they're
continue looking it out.
Yeah, the rollicking finally ensues. But yeah, there's some entertainment value. I did enjoy the banter between them as Giganta's complaining about nature and all the birds attacking her and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's some great art here. Joe is good in the art in this issue.
Go on.
Perspective. There's a lot of good perspective going on with the heights and the sizes.
I think it's important when there's all these different sized characters. I think it's really important to show that.
Yeah, but even in panels where like there's nothing else in the panel with Giganta, it does this thing where she still feels that she's tall. Like there's a panel about I don't know 4 or 5 pages in. It's just after Wonder Woman saved the driver, and the top panel is her, like, it's Wonder Woman and him in the foreground, and she's like above them, towering over them. That's an obvious thing, right? Which is fine. The panel under that though, it's just Giganta with a white background looking around. She's got her hand above her eyes, kind of like looking out in the distance, and even though it's just her in a white background, she still feels that she's a giant. And I don't know if it's just as simple as matching the angle of the previous panel. So in your mind, it's like you've still got that sort of perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even matching the angle. I think it's just the fact that we're looking up. Like, she's not looking down, she's looking out, right? Like downwards-ish, but not directly down like the angle we're looking at, where we're looking straight up. It's
but
it's
a
lot tighter than a typical, because obviously, when we talk about, framing, we talk about, the hero pose, you frame slightly upwards. This is a lot tighter than that. It makes you feel like you're craning your neck up to look at her.
Yes. Meaning the artist done a very good job of keeping that perspective in place.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So, yeah, and then, actual giant fight looks pretty good too, and there's chaos going about, and
lots of great banter. Like, Giganta, when she kicks and it's like, oh shit, you're actually just rocks. That hurt. Yeah,
or when it's about to bash her double, with a double axe handle, and Wonder Woman comes flying in and hits him in the face.
Yeah,
just some really good art here. There's a lot of good art in the fighting.
Yeah,
And then
The Titans
eventually,
look great. I love when they get all really shadowy and inky on the Titans.
yeah. In fact, one of my favorite panel in the whole book is after this it spills towards a diner. We see some characters in a diner, like having coffee and whatever. And the next panel, or the next page rather, we get Giganta tackling the giant like here, and it does this effect where it's
only up to just above its knee.
Yeah, but so again, given how well it's handled the scale of how big she is compared to Wonder Woman, this tells you how big he is. But what I love about this full page spread is all of the, not only are they both in like sort of deep inks and shadows, it's all the dust that it's kicking up. So it feels like they're disturbing. It feels like they're disturbing the earth. It's not just that they're big; it's that their size is actually disturbing the natural order of things around them. Like everything in their wake is being affected by it.
No, it's a fantastic image. I do love that panel.
So no, it's so good. And then the lasso just kind of snaps his neck off, and one of them's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that. He can't be a real Titan because that wouldn't kill him. That even this lasso wouldn't be able to do that."
Yeah.
So.
Then they go to the diner and then have a cup of coffee. Apologizes for the sword and almost like, I'm out in town. We get plenty of swords in here.
Yeah, and the one thing the giant says is protect the sword, right?
Yes.
Protect the sword. So at the end, we're back with Maggie and we're back with the mythical creatures, and they see something in the lake. They see something.
She sees something.
She sees something in the lake. And they're just... There's actually a moment where she almost kisses one of them. They have a kind of a romantic beat.
Yeah.
But she sees something in the lake. She dives in, and she comes out holding a sword. The final page is a full page spread. If her clothes are wet and she's just standing in the water holding this sword, guys, I think I found something. And so I'm not sure about this detail I'm about to mention here. Has she gotten big?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not sure how deep the lake is that she's there, or if it's shallow.
Because obviously the trees in the background and whatnot, that's just the perspective because of distance, right? That's fine. The thing that's making me think she's gotten tall and she's gotten giant-sized is because where she shows that she's standing in the middle of the water, and it feels like she's gotten tall, but it could just be...
Yeah, I'm not sure because you've got the satyr, he's wading out into it. It's up to, roughly his knees. I'm not sure how much further in she is, how deep this actually is, or
That's
if
true.
it's...
I'll be honest, I never thought of this when I first read it. It's just when I looked at it there, again, now that I'm looking at it now, I'm like...
I wouldn't say either way is an art mistake, though. It's more just we have no perception of how deep the lake is.
That's true. I think what's weird about it is that the book, up until this point, has been immaculate with making the scale and perspective be very clear. And in this final page, I'm like, has she gotten tall?
I'll be honest, I never even thought about it until you've said that.
But it's just the way the water only comes up to there on her. It feels like she's gotten big.
It does.
Do you know what it is? It's not so much that... I think it's because the idea she has to dive to get it. It implies that it's deep enough that she can, she could theoretically stand up and underneath it and not be sticking out.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the way she dives, it looks like she's diving down to go under.
It does. But then, the panel before she dives, she's like up to her ankles.
Because if it was really that shallow, she wouldn't have to dive. She could just bend over.
Yeah.
And pick it up.
No, I agree. This is weird. I'm not entirely sure.
This is a minor, this is not really a problem. This is like a minor nitpick. Because I actually really like this issue. It's gorgeous. Yeah. The art's fantastic. The character dialogue between them. It was a quick read because it was most of the action with the big giants, but all of it felt big and epic. It felt, it felt biblical.
It did. And obviously, a lot of this book plays with mythology. Mostly Greek, but are we playing with something Arthurian here? Because obviously, it even says next the Lady of the Lake, and it's intentionally playing on that as a beat.
Yeah, maybe.
The sword in the water. I don't know if it's actually playing with that as a plot thing, or if it's just having fun with it because of the scenario. And it's just kind of playing with that as a pun almost.
Maybe playing with it thematically rather than literally.
Yeah.
Because
But also, it could be literal, and I kind of hope it is.
I mean, I don't really care. I have no attachment to.
I'm a sucker for good Arthurian stories.
I do not care about Arthurian stories. But like, I'm fascinated by what this sword actually is. Why do the giants think it needs protected? Because last time I checked, there was no giants like saying, "Oh, kid Arthur, don't be picking that up."
Yeah. I had assumed when until we got to this final thing, when protect the sword, I assumed it was metaphorical, like someone is the sword.
Like Dawn is the key.
Mhm.
On the hit television
Yes.
show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes, just like that. God damn it! I hate myself. Look, I said I wasn't getting angry. Don't make me. No, I'm intrigued. I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm curious. But no, I'm digging Wonder Woman a lot. Wilson's been firing on all cylinders. What are you giving the issue?
8.5.
I'm giving it a 9.
Well, get you.
It was a gorgeous issue. Felt the scale of the combat, and it was delightful to go through. So
That was good.
9 for
Real
me. Which takes us on to The Flash, issue 67. Joshua Williamson writing with Scott Kolins on the art. This issue, we got the flashback issue last time with the trickster, the original trickster, James Jesse. This issue is, okay, what has he done to Central? Because, Barry comes back, he's been away for a little bit. He comes back, and things are weird.
Everyone's happy, and there's no crime.
There's no crime. No one's been arrested in weeks.
Something seriously shit has gone wrong when Wolf smiles.
That may be the creepiest thing I've ever read in a comic, is Wolf just smiling and being pleasant.
That was genuinely terrifying. But I don't like it. Never do this again.
And we should mention Barry's actually off dealing with some cult of the Black Hand. Like, we got Black Hand like cult followers that he's dealing with. But he comes back to Central City, drops off at Iron Heights. Everyone's all happy and cheery. He's looking for Commander Cold, can't find him. And everyone at the station's happy. There's no one in the holding tank. Everything's like that. It's kind of weird. And then James Jesse's dating, what's her face? Detective, what's her name?
I'm blanking on the name.
Kristen. There you go.
Yes.
I was like, okay, all right.
And Barry's like, this guy seems familiar.
Yeah, I get a vague impression that I've heard of him before. And he's looking around, and it's just everyone's like so happy. People are building snowmen, and everyone's cheery. And then he checks his apartment, and it's like, okay, so this looks like no one's been here in a week. So Commander Cold's officially missing. He's not just like hard to find. Yeah. He's went missing. So he goes around and checks various places. And one of the things he discovers is that the cult leader that he brought back is now all happy like everyone else. Now he's all smiling. So it's a great concern. And he runs out to Detective Burns. He goes to find her. Because, of course, he suspects that, they're having a bit of a relationship. And Burns, the first hint that something's actually... obviously we think something's wrong, but the first hint to getting to the truth of it is she says, no, just be happy. Don't worry, Barry, be happy. Just be happy. You should really drop this.
Must be happy or it'll hurt you.
Or it'll hurt you, yes. And there's that really creepy panel where she's kind of like crying and she says that, but she still gets a smile.
Yeah.
It's almost Joker-esque, actually.
I was about to say, it's not help. Trickster has in not necessarily in comics, but in public perception, there's a bit of he's a bit of a knockoff Joker, right? This isn't helping with that.
Yeah, so we see Trickster's got Commander Cold, and then otherwise we just see that everyone's happy, and it's very kind of almost Border Snatchers-esque.
It is.
So, what did you feel about this? It's just the start of this Trickster arc. I mean, I guess the last one kind of was, but this is
it's not bad. I got some, not concerns, more questions. Like last issue established that he'd been the Trickster. He'd had run-ins with Flash, right? So does Flash not know who he is? Like, I get, the whole idea is like, oh, everyone will forget about me.
Yeah, I think that's what they were playing with. This idea is that he
but
seems familiar, but you can't quite place it.
that's the thing I don't buy though. Like, I get the idea that most people will just forget about him, right? And then he'll make a grand return. I get that in concept, but the idea that Barry's forgotten him.
I mean, he's in civvy clothes though, without a mask. I wonder if did Barry ever see him?
Introduced him by name. I feel like Barry probably knew the name of one of his rogues, like he does with all the rest of them.
I don't know, maybe James Jesse's done something.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Has he done something to literally make everyone forget?
He may have done.
He might have done, which alleviates this concern, admittedly.
Yeah.
But I wasn't necessarily getting that last issue when we got the idea of what this plan was with that forgetting thing, and pulling the trick. I never got the idea that he'd physically done something.
I like that quite a bit, actually. I mean, obviously, I like Scott Kolins on a flash book. I know you're not as huge, but I have all that nostalgia for him. I think what I liked about this is that it did feel like, okay, we're doing something completely different for a little bit. We're going to get away from the Force Quest. We're going to get away from that stuff. We're going to do just a fun villains doing something plot, and the whole city's infected, and Barry has to figure it out. And like I say, it's kind of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's kind of, everyone's acting weird and creepy, and he has to figure it out. Yeah, I'm into that side of it. Yeah, I'm digging just the actual core plot of this whatever Trickster's doing, this prank.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it can't drag on too long. There's no danger of it really overstaying its welcome because it's only got a handful of issues before we're into year 1, right?
Yeah. I mean, about what? Another 4 issues at most?
I think that starts in 75.
What were you on?
Maybe
67.
Yeah. That's all right.
I liked it.
I'm not like in love with the issue. It's a solid issue to set up the arc, and I'm intrigued. But I'm not like, oh, I'm really into this. I need to know. I need more now. I'm like, okay, I can wait a few weeks.
No, I mean, I really. I think it's a fun plot that it is a breath of fresh air, giving just all the Force Quest stuff that we were kind of stuck on for a while.
I'm definitely glad for that to kind of come down to something more. I don't want to say mundane, but
traditional.
Normal? Traditional, yeah.
Yeah, traditional. Because it's not that. I mean, I liked a lot of the Force Quest stuff, but it was definitely maybe a bit weaker after the Flash War and the Perfect Storm stuff, because that was like a really good chunk of stuff. I feel like this is just like, okay, this is just a solid story where the villain is doing something crazy in Central City.
I think it said, all right, let's not introduce something huge. Let's not be doing all these big things. Let's just do something with one of the rogues. I'm down for that in concept.
All right, what are you giving it?
I'll give it a 7.
I'm giving it an 8.
Cool.
Because I'm more positive than you. Next up,
nothing wrong with a 7.
Next up, we're going to about the Shazam issue 4. Geoff Johns with Dale Eaglesham and Marcus Santucci on the art. So we left last time, all the kids all get split into into kind of pairs essentially, in the different lands. Shazam and Mary are still in fun lands. Pedro and what's the other kid's name? Eugene. Pedro and Eugene are in the game lands, and then Darla and Freddy.
Yes, I couldn't remember who was with her.
Yeah, I was just trying to place who's with who. Darla and Freddy are in the Wildlands, which actually starts the book off. I actually kind of loved how this started with just like this cop cat like brushing his teeth and getting ready for his day. Yeah, he's a tiger. That's right. Because he's got like a self-help book. It's like, I will not eat anyone. I will not eat anyone. And he's like practicing in the mirror. He's like, yes, sir. No, I will not eat you. I do not eat people, or I do not eat other animals. I'm got it all under control. But they find humans, and we find out that humans are kind of extinct, but there's been rumors that some humans have arrived. So it's like, oh, people should find those disgusting humans and this and that. And then we eventually see our characters like in a cage. After we see
when they're getting captured, the Shazam doesn't work for them.
Yeah,
they're cut off from it for whatever reason.
So they end up in a cage. I love that Darla's like Kitty and tries to hug the tiger.
Yeah,
she's all excited. She's like, yeah, cat. Meanwhile, in the game lands, they'll be like, "Oh, we want to get back to other other realms," and they're like, "Well, you're gonna have to pay in your credits." It's like, "Oh, how do we get credits? You're gonna have to win games and get credits," and they keep losing points for stupid reasons. Like, "Oh, you spoke back to us, minus 100 points. You did this, minus 500 points." So they're going to have to beat up the game master to get out, and what
That'll
looks
be a
like
fun issue.
Yeah, but it looks like some sort of racing game they're going to have to play with them.
Yeah.
So
This is very much an interim issue, and that's not to say I dislike it. I like all the individual scenes, but mostly it's like, okay, I'm excited for the next issue, right? Of okay, I want to see this play out.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the Wildlands get a lot in this issue, whereas the Game Lands were definitely set up just for next issue.
No, they were. I'm into the wild, like when the tiger's walking out and they're like, hey, you what's this book? This is forbidden literature. Animal, you have to behave as you're supposed to as an animal, right? None of this trying to be better.
It felt like Zootopia mixed with a little bit of like Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah,
it was like a weird mix of things. So I kind of dug that, and then the main plot revelation in the Funlands is that what happens to the kids when they grow up. We find out that they get sent down to work. Like, all this magic that happens still needs a workforce, so that the adults are basically slave labor.
Yeah,
and work underground.
Yeah,
and that's where they're trying to put Billy, and that's where they've put Mary.
Who's Mary's got basically she's gagged. She can't say Shazam.
Yeah, she's got a muzzle on.
Yeah.
So fun ideas, and then the big final thing at the end is that we, someone in Rock Eternity, we can just hear someone like, oh, these lands were all sealed off from each other for a reason, Billy, you idiot. And then the final page is Black Adam standing there. I was not expecting Black Adam to show up this early.
No, I wasn't either, because we were setting up Savannah and Mr. Mind stuff, and then it's, oh hey, Black Adam's here, and doing wrong, all for it. I love Black Adam, one of my favorite.
Oh,
villains.
Of course.
Black Adam to the rescue is the point, and that's very much what I like most about Black Adam, where he's not just being an evil psycho, where he's got a weird code and he's got his reasons for doing things.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be an antagonist, at least not completely here. This feels like he's going to be kind of cleaning up their mess a little bit.
Yeah, because when he says, "Oh, they were sealed off for a reason," he's like, "Oh, god damn it! Now bloody kids, now I've got to sort this shit out."
But he does note that the Monster Lands, I think it's called, is still sealed off, at least for now. So clearly we're building up to.
He seems to be concerned about that one.
Yeah, he's scared of the Monster Lands. So I am very curious about finally getting in there.
It's a great way of selling your threat, is when your villain is also scared of it.
He's like, screw this, I'm going to Kandak. I'm hiding. That's his attitude. Yeah. No, I don't fun with that. And then we see that as well that the foster parents have contacted the police because the kids are all missing.
Yeah.
So that's going along as well. Now I've been digging Shazam. I think it's been a really consistent, really solid book. If I'm going to rate it, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think the art kind of, again, very solid.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the 8.
I think the highlight is probably the Funlands, the Wildlands stuff. All the animal people, all the tiger people, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was particularly good. Art in the Game Lands looked a little. I think it's the inks that are a lot less defined than everywhere else. So it almost has this, almost a blurry effect. That's not quite what it is. It's just a little. Feels a little bit out of focus to me compared to everywhere else where it's all really tight inks.
Yeah, I do appreciate how different they look though, because obviously the Wildlands is very Zootopia. The Game Lands is very kind of like cyberpunk, like everything's neon kind of.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I still like it for the most part. It just the shift between them, like between the Funlands and the Wildlands, it still feels tight.
Would we
clean?
Would we presume that that's the Santucci pages, or
possibly? Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if there's a credit telling me who did the page breakdown. No, it's not.
It was guess. But hey, that's Shazam though, which will take us on to Batgirl issue 33. Mairghread Scott writing with Elena Casagrande on the art. So I'm definitely glad to be away from Pelletier, because I was feeling a little bit down on his art in that last arc.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
I ended up enjoying the arc overall, but the art was
Should mention Scott Godlewski does a couple of pages in this.
You're quite right, he does. So this is a James Gordon Jr. issue set before his appearance in The Batman Who Laughs. On the one hand, I could be annoyed that this seems to mostly just be here to set up where he is in The Batman Who Laughs.
But
it's actually really well told, and it's such a personal story for Barbara that I don't really mind.
Yeah. Makes sense for her to have this moment of, oh, he's out and around.
Yeah, it's basically like he's out, so she kind of goes over the top and beating up people, like, where is he? You know, like, where did he go? She basically goes Batman, essentially. Yeah. And she's like ignoring her responsibilities. She's not getting into her work at the campaign. She's ignoring everyone. She's hanging people upside down. And there's even a moment where she's like streaming this guy. She's hanging upside down. The art's very good here. You see her face is like, oh, what am I doing? Like I'm torturing this, fairly innocent guy. It's his parole officer for next to nothing.
And she's like, sorry, just I'll let you go. Thank you for your help.
But then, Jason catches Gordon Jr. outside the campaign office, and she comes over as Barbara, not as Batgirl, and, basically tries to talk him down. And probably one of my favourite scenes of the whole book is, Gordon himself shows up because, he's went off his assigned route, so, we got flagged. So he shows up in the car, and their entire conversation is playing out. The colouring's changing. It's the idea is that the siren on the car,
it's still flashing.
The lights. So it's flashing between red and blue. So every panel alternates between red and blue.
It looks fantastic.
It's great. It's a really great way to set the pacing and the atmosphere. But yeah, she's pissed at him. Like, you think this is okay that he's out, and he's like, "No, we'll try and keep you safe." And it's the idea here is that Gordon, despite everything that Junior's done, he still kind of wants to believe there's a possibility of him being better. Like he believes that this method, this chip in therapy, this drug that he's been taking
could work,
is working, and Babs just isn't ready for it. And I think what I like most about this is that, like, the obvious arc here is that maybe eventually Babs does give in and consider that maybe he can become better,
and then it's all ruined.
And then it's all ruined. And she shows up at his place as Batgirl, but I think what I like about it is she never has that. Like, even at the end of the book, she's like, no, like, you've killed people, you're a monster, and I can't just, like, forgive that or forget that or believe that anything else could happen.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you don't get to apologize to me. This is not a thing where you can just apologize and this goes away. As much as she maybe gets a little bit angry at times, I mean, she does. She punches them at one point.
Yeah.
And she's definitely not overreacting. That's not the right phrase. She's definitely letting the stress of this fester and come out in anger across the board. But she's like, no, even if you are cured, I'm never forgiving you. It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't have to, but I'll always be ready to watch over you just in case.
Yeah, I'm always going to assume you're going to go down that path. And for me, this kind of it almost felt like someone who's got an addict in their family. It's like, yeah, you hope for the best, but you're always watching them to make sure they don't.
You're being cynical about it, yeah.
But it turned up even because this is killing someone's worse than doing something to yourself. So no.
I think the only thing I really don't like about this issue is that final panel where it's the Batman Who Laughs standing over him.
Yeah, I don't like that either. It feels it feels like an ad for that other book. It's like, hey, go read the Batman Who Laughs.
And I like that other book, and I like what it's doing, but this was still a really good issue in context of just her having this reunion.
Yeah.
I didn't need it to go, oh hey, check out that other book, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like she's looking for a reason to immediately throw him back in jail, and it's not there yet, so she's going overboard. But at the same time, you understand why she feels this way, and you don't blame her for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what makes it work. And the art's mostly pretty good. There's one or two weird postures. The panel where she's like standing over him and he's at the apartment. She's got a really weird kind of like shoulder line. It's kind of like.
Yeah, it's a little far back, isn't it?
Yeah. Her boobs are kind of weird. Her boobs almost look like she's lying down flat, so they're kind of spread. but she's standing up.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I don't know. The posture is a little bit off.
Yeah, it is.
But for the most part, no, I like the expressions. Like I say, there was a moment earlier on where Bab's face is what sold the moment. So
Definitely, really strong colours as well. Especially, we talk about a lot about that scene of the blue and red, but in before that, where it's playing with all the shadows with Junior, and I really like that.
Yeah, no, it's very good. What are you giving it?
7.5.
I'll give it an 8. I've got misgivings about the final page and just kind of like maybe why it exists, but it's actually a pretty damn good issue. So yeah, there you go. So that'll take us on to the Terrifics issue 14, the final issue by Geoff Lemire, and it's got art by Joe Bennett. So this is the fight. You know, the Linya showed up at the end of the last issue with the cavalry, with Tesla Strong, Plastic Man, his son, who we're calling Offspring, apparently, according to the roll call at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Did you read this one?
I'm flicking through it now, going, I thought I did, but I don't think I did.
Oh my god.
I think I just... I read 13 today, and I thought I read 14.
I fear that this is someone's first episode of this show, and they think it's like this every week. That terrifies me.
No, I know.
It terrifies me.
I honestly thought I'd done this one. I didn't notice I hadn't until you said that then. I went, huh, did I?
This is a shambles.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Matt takes a week off and it all falls apart because Connor's... Oh. Anyway, so some great art in here of the fighting. You get Plastic Man protecting his son. I especially liked his son making crosses with his hands because he's a vampire.
Oh, because the vampire. Yeah.
That's worse than the movies. And you've got people looking out for each other. Phantom Boy and Phantom Girl, especially. The like Phantom Punch, Dark Matter Punch. The sort of one upping each other. It's a whole thing. Plastic Man also at one point muzzles vampire. What's his name? Plasma Man. Plasma Man.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah. So the fight's basically what you think it would be. It's just them working with each other. Terrific and Mrs. Terrific figure out how to take off his armor, which makes him punchable. Basically, he can be beat now. So they fight that. They lock him up. They take him to the the House of Heroes at the center of the multiverse, to imprison him. And it turns out there's been a lot of Javas who've been up to no good. So he's in a prison cell next to a bunch of other Javas, and that's the whole thing. So at the start and the end of the book, Linya has some narration, and it's basically about how she didn't feel like she was lost for a long time, and then she thought she had these friends, but then as soon as the bond that forced them together went away, it was like, okay, now they all went their separate ways. But now it feels like they're actually together properly now. They're actually friends. They're actually a family.
Yeah.
And even Mrs. Terrific from the Other Earth decides to stick around.
She's sticking around. Cool.
She asked if she can stick around. And, Rex and Plastic Man are even kind of like... Rex is like, I'm starting to not hate you, maybe. And it's like, there you go. So, no, it's kind of delightful. And then the final page, you get this roll call. There's a big shot of them all running together. But so now we have Mr. Terrific, Mrs. Terrific, Metamorpho, Plastic Man, Offspring, Phantom Girl, and Element Dog. So it's not 4 anymore. And it's almost like how Fantastic Four's got the kids now. So there's
I was just thinking that.
But yeah, so we have a bigger team for the new run about to start, which I fear will only be one arc, and I hope it's not, but.
There's a very good chance of that, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe give them 2 since it's a new team.
Yeah,
I don't know. But no, it was delightful. It was as delightful as Terrific usually is. Art's mostly pretty good. There was maybe one or two facial expressions that were a little bit off, but it was in line with what the book's been the last few issues. I was kind of just had a smile on my face the whole time. Yeah. I don't know what more to add to it, really.
I get it. I really did mean to read this. It was only when you talk about it's a final issue of the run, And then I went, I didn't really feel like an ending of the run. And I went, what was the ending? I went and looked at the last page. I'm like, okay, I don't finish this. And I'm flicking back. And I went, okay, I think I just finished the issue before and just thought I was done.
Do you know, at the end of this episode, I have to remind them that Matt's going to be missing next week as well. And everyone's just going to...
I'll have read my books next week. The problem was this week is that all those books from last month that I hadn't read and didn't realise I hadn't read really stacked up.
No one's coming back for next week's episode. At the end of this, I'm going to be like, hey, next week, by the way, Matt's gone because he's away to Disneyland for next weekend. He'll be back the following week. They're going to go, well, we'll all skip next week because... Shambles!
Yeah.
And for once...
This is the only book that I didn't plan to not read.
None of the shambles this week are even my fault. They're all your fault. And this is dire. You're ruining my show. This is...
Yeah, usually you manage it on your own, but I'll give you this one. This is...
There might be an ad on Twitter for a replacement, so keep an eye out, folks. The Ginger's getting...
I got no excuse this week. Work caught with me and the double in books, and I just...
All right, let's move on then to The Silencer, issue 15.
I did read this one.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. So is it Ray's her like kind of brother?
Yeah.
I actually really like the idea of there being like a no sight equivalent of her.
I do as well. I thought the way it was introduced was really sudden. Like, yeah, we heard about him before, and it's just, oh, he's here now.
I thought it worked. The idea that we don't see him and then he sort of fades in because he's been invisible. I like that. Part of my favorite panel of the whole book is when they're standing side by side and she goes shh, and everything goes quiet.
And he's got his guns crossed and he's phasing out.
He's phasing out. Yeah, I thought it was a really nice panel.
It was. Yeah.
They're on this boat, hunting down. It's one of the labs that do experiments and kids kind of like happen to them. Yeah. And we get this almost alien resurrection scene of them finding all these like failed experiments that are kind of alive but not really, except the one girl they get to who's Smoke, who actually has powers and is still very capable of fighting back.
Yeah.
Also some kind of minor form of telepathy coming from her as well.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because she like becomes like a smoke sort of fog and phases through them, and as she does that, gets a lot of their memories, right?
Yeah.
So I'm reading that right. I think that was how I interpreted how it was happening.
At the very least, gets their intentions because she understands why she's there.
Yeah.
Maybe empath would be closer to what we're talking about.
Maybe. I think the way that she's talking about the family at the end felt a little bit too specific. It's
a shame that the brother did get killed because I did actually kind of like him being around. Just in terms of his look and his powers. But hey ho. So meanwhile, the husband and son back at home thinking she's dead, and he's trying to dig up this thing that he's found in the garden. Turns out it's part of a security system, and the guys show up, and they end up macing him because he won't let them go because he's demanding answers. And they basically say, "Hey, look, there's stuff about it you don't know. Don't ask. You're better off not knowing."
Just leave it as it is. Yeah.
Which obviously he's not happy about because he's obviously determined to know.
Yeah, it's his wife, and he's like, "Shit, she's dead, and I didn't know her."
Yeah, I want to know everything about my wife and about where she came from and about all this sort of shit she was into. Yeah. Like this thing, because he knows enough that this is state of the art. He's like, how could she afford this? Where did this come from? Yeah. All these questions that are naturally making him very curious. So that's really cool. And then Smoke's kind of an interesting villain in that, like, she's sympathetic in that she's kind of, an experimented on person, kind of like they are. And she doesn't kill Honor because of that, because she kind of relates to her a little bit. And because she's the reason why she can escape, because Honor came in and, broke open everything. But it ends with her saying she wants to really, essentially take over Honor's life, and she's going to go and find her family. So we end with her leaving off and Honor kind of like holding her hand out going, no! Yeah,
this is, it's going to be interesting stuff.
Yes. Because Honor, keep in mind, is still having to pretend that she's completely forgotten about her life.
It is, and now she's going to have to kind of admit that to save her family, right?
Yeah.
And But I mean, we're coming towards the end of the book now, right?
Issue 18 is the last one, yeah. So we got three more.
Three more. So this last bit will be the ending of the book, which is sad, but I mean, it's a logical place for it to go out on. With her, getting back with her family, presumably.
Yeah, no, that'll be a fine ending, and obviously, I hope we get more of her in some capacity, but at least
me too.
Right now, dig in the book a lot, and I think this issue continued the streak of just
being really solid and great action sequences.
Yeah, it was like it went up at one point, and it's just stayed up to where it went to the whole time.
Yeah, it didn't go back down, but it hasn't been climbing anymore either.
Yeah, it's just really, really solid. The action sequences look great. I think it's because her power's unique amongst other comic characters, and it's basically John Wick action sequences with this added silence power. But her suit has a lot of like lines in it, so she tends to look very, I don't know, nimble and high tech at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A lot of gymnastics going on in this.
Is prime for a movie adaptation. Like you say, just John Wick style, a great action director, and just do it.
I can see that. And then the developments are interesting as well. So, looking forward. I did have fun with all the Brother stuff. It's a shame that he's dead already, but yeah. But hell. What are you giving Silencer issue 15?
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, well, I can't really argue. To be honest, 8.
Glad you agree.
I've got a lot of 8s this week, but it was a solid week. I'm actually quite happy.
Yeah, me too.
Quite happy. I read 9 books, not including Detective. I read 9 books, and I'm fairly happy with almost all of them. So that'll take us on to the final book of the week, which is Dial H for Hero, issue 1. Sam Humphries writing with Joe Quinones on art. So obviously, this is the next Wonder Comics line. It's the final one of the first wave, and it is a miniseries. Bringing back Dial H for Hero, we have this new character of Miguel.
Is this one definitely a miniseries? It doesn't say one of anything on the front.
It doesn't on the front. I'm sure it did in the solicit.
Okay.
I'm sure it did. Because Naomi didn't say 1 of 6 either, and that's...
Oh, did it not?
Yeah.
Okay. Has DC stopped doing that now?
I think they still do it for all things. I think it's because these are kind of coming back for like second seasons or whatever. They're being weirder about it. I don't know. So Miguel's this kid who has this near-death experience when he's in a swimming pool, and Superman comes and saves him and takes him to the hospital, and he's narrating and talking about how after that, he was always looking for a rush. He did skateboarding, extreme sports, jumping off wrestling rings, whatever he's doing. And he's a teenager now, and he's bored. He's got this dead-end job with his uncle. His parents have died, and he's stuck at this, basically my worst nightmare, this food truck that's nothing but mayonnaise-based things.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought of you when this popped up.
Because he's like,
this must be your hell.
We've got mayo sandwiches, mayo fries, mayo soup, mayo on a stick, mayo surprise. This all sounds awful. All of it.
Oh, I don't know. I'm into like half of that. The mayo fries, the mayo dog, the MBLT. I'm down on all those. I'm out on the mayo shake and mayo soup.
So Miguel, he runs into Summer, who's this bad girl who always runs away from home, and she's asking all these weird questions about the truck. She's clearly wanting to steal it, and he's kind of oblivious. Offers some food, but she doesn't want mayo. So I like her because she doesn't want mayo. She's instantly likeable.
He doesn't like mayo either.
Yes, he doesn't. He hates it. He's sick of mayo. He's been told to clean mayo.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he goes and does this Daredevil-esque stunt. There's like a ramp out by this cliff. He goes up on his bike, and he's thrill seeking. He stumbles at the end and goes flying off the cliff. He's falling down. He's going to die. But out of nowhere, this red phone, the snap of lightning, this red phone appears, and the receiver's like, Miguel, listen to me. If you want to live, you must dial H. So he dials H. And he has this weird kind of vision of him in a phone booth, kind of like Superman. It's very strange. And then all around the world, various characters get this feeling that the dial is back, including Snapper Carr. That was the one that kind of gave me a chuckle. And we get this drastic art change. We get this old school art change. It sort of comes in gradually, where it's just subtle at first when he's picking like who he's going to be, because this mysterious figures like you
yeah. All you have to do is dial.
yeah, just who are you? And then we get this really classic old school sort of. I mean, it's not that old school, but it's just it feels they've got the hatching and things like that. It just make it feel a little bit more old school as he makes the monster truck.
I would
character.
say it's the coloring that makes it old school more than anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
The flat old colors. It's very 70s.
It looks very different from the rest of the book. Very different.
It's almost it's all the same art team. I mean, I don't know who's coloring actually, but it's definitely the same art. It's actually only 2 names on the front, which would imply to me he's coloring his own work. So,
well, that's a good sign. Yeah, that he can do that. So he's the monster truck,
and then this is where I was like, okay, I'm into this, and then I fell in love. I'm like, okay, I'm into it. He's got diesel in his veins. Oh.
Diesel in his veins. He's saying things like "pedal to the metal," and all sorts. Yeah. It's just a couple of pages of him like smashing cars and throwing things, rocks in the air, cars in the air, and then it becomes him again, and he's in like a junkyard, and he's been smashing things, and there's like people just off in the distance saying, "Please don't set off any more bombs. We're calling the police," kind of thing. And then he's running from the police, and sure enough, the food truck that he works on comes along, and it's Summer. Summer's stolen it, and basically says, "Get in," and so they're on the run somewhere else. And the phone rings again, and so he's like, "I'm the operator calling you from a place called the Heroverse. I need your help. The agents of the Thunderbolt Club will do anything to get their hands on the phone."
Thunderbolt, eh?
Yes.
I'm intrigued.
Are you intrigued?
Intrigued.
Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the book. Yeah. So yeah, basically what this does is it gives us 1 or 2 of his supporting characters. It sets up just kind of how the phone works, why it showed up for him specifically. I'm sure
that will be something we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that. But mainly it takes a few pages setting up who he is as a character, kind of his mindset and his origin, if you will, and then gives him the phone and says, "Okay, here's how this works," and we get and I think when I say here's how it works, not just in terms of the in-universe, okay, he dials a thing and becomes a hero, how this works, and okay, here's what the book's going to do. It's going to have fun with these ridiculous hero characters that he's going to come up with.
Because Monster Truck was ridiculous.
Yes.
Like when he goes there, there's all these other like trucks surrounding him, all the headlights coming on as well. Behold, human, we are the immortal truck Triforce. Every 1,000 years, the Earth needs a new eternal champion of trucking.
Yep.
I'm so into this.
Yep.
This was delightful.
It was delightful. It was fun. Which bizarrely means that out of this Wonder Comics line, there's been nothing but success. I know you've not read the Bendis ones, but
out of the ones I've read, I've very much enjoyed them.
I have liked all 4 of these books, so this is going way better than New Age of Heroes or whatever.
Hey, I'm 2 for 2 out of the ones that I've gone for, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
And this, was a surprise because I thought, it might be all right. And then it was kind of fantastic. And now I'm sad it's only 6 issues. I hope this is a seasonal one that we'll get another one after, because that'd be cool.
It's interesting. This is another one of the books where the young character is inspired by Superman. That's now 2 of the books have done that.
There's that thing in Naomi.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, Superman plays an even bigger thematic role in that one, but I sort of smirked when it started with, "Oh, Superman saved me once," and now that's changed my life. And
the whole thing in the phone booth.
Yeah. So.
I like it.
No, delightful. What you giving?
I'm going to mention here as well. I spur of the moment picked this up physically, just because it had a nice cover, and of course it comes with the digital code. So we'll be doing a giveaway for that. Follow the Twitters, and Pete will set that up.
Oh, will we? Oh, You hadn't told me about this. You've
I
caught me
hadn't
off
'cause
guard.
I forgot. So you can set it up. You'll manage.
How dare you? Yeah. So what are you giving it? What are you giving Dial H for Hero?
I'm torn between the 8.5 and the 9.
Oh.
I'm going high. I'm into this. I think I'll lowball it at the 8.5 for now. But I love the art as well. You know, the way it changes, and it's so expressive but consistent.
I will go with a 7.5.
Fair enough.
Cool. So that was the last book, which brings us to the part of the show where we pick our favourites of the week. We do our favourite panel/moment. We do our favourite cover, favourite artist, and top 5 books. So, panel/moment, what are you going for?
It's I Am Monster Truck. Because it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting the art shift, and then that popped up. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Now, I got to go with Giganta and the Titan outside the diner in Wonder Woman. That panel was... I mean, a lot of that book was gorgeous, but...
Yeah, it's a very close second, that one.
That panel was magnifique. Yeah. Magnifique. Anyway, cover of the week.
Oh, hang on. I need to look at previews because they're not giving me variants anymore.
And I think for the sake of this, Detective does not count because Detective...
No, we probably should have counted them in Detective. We should pick one at the end of that, shouldn't we? Do you have one ready to go? That while I'm looking at these, I don't know if you're prepared.
I'm just looking through them just now because you know, Batgirl.
I don't like this. Why have they removed these? I liked having them there.
Oh, the Shazam one's very nice.
Is it now?
Batgirl one's pretty good. Shazam one's very nice. I may have to go with that Shazam variant.
Do you know what's weird about that Shazam variant?
Mm-hmm.
That's Jim Lee.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So is.
I happen to agree that's what I'm picking, but I am shocked. I did not think that was a Jim Lee cover at first.
Look at that.
That's a very sleek Jim Lee cover. Very understated for Jim Lee.
All right, then. What's your art of the week?
Wonder Woman.
I am going to say Wonder Woman as well, but let it be known that Epting for Action was in the running there. That was not a snap decision.
No, I get that, and I really love the art for Dial H for Hero, but I'm going Wonder Woman.
Okay, so top 5 books of the week then.
So number 1 is going to be Wonder Woman. 2 will be Dial H. 3 Shazam. 4 Silencer. And 5 Batgirl? Yeah, Batgirl.
Okay, I'm going Wonder Woman number 1. Action Comics number 2. Number 3, Shazam. Number 4, Batgirl. And then number 5, Terrifics. There we go. Hey guys, that's the top books of the week. But we did ask you on Twitters. We asked our Twitter followers. I can't speak. It's late, guys. We were recording this later than we normally do. This has been a wreck of a show. Maybe the car wrecks are the fun ones. I don't know. So yes. So we actually had several people say Heroes in Crisis. We really did.
Name and shame.
That's Stu on. I go with Heroes in Crisis because we got major and interesting plot development sprinkled with some fun little moments. It finally feels to me like it's going somewhere of its reaching some of its potential. I also feel like people who haven't liked Heroes in Crisis so far actually like this issue. I have seen that sentiment actually. At Corey in YNWA, Heroes in Crisis finally got what I was expecting or was hoping for with this series. Can't wait to see what happens now. So we'll see. yeah, we did
Yeah,
have
was
some
anything
picks for
else?
Detective Comics 1000, but obviously we kind of counted that separately
Separately,
in
yeah.
terms of the shows. But obviously Detective might be the winner for a lot of people. At talking Superman because he loves getting mentioned. He's just soaking it in. He's like, you know, just soaking it in when he hears it. He said Action Comics. I feel like he's biased here.
I mean, who'd have thought with a name like
I
that?
know. Superman and the espionage stuff is blending together way better than I would have. I think it would be. So, fair point.
How do you feel about the Cape Pocket talking Superman?
There you
Need to
go.
know.
That's a good question. And then at Scott Revels, just for a different pick, I really liked Dial H for Hero. I liked that the kid felt like I did when I was young and wanted to get out of my small town. I like the idea of some kid potentially being able to take over the bodies of heroes for an hour. At least I interpreted it that way. I don't know if he's taking over people for an hour.
No, I think he's more.
It's more like Shazam. He's just becoming.
Yeah, Shazam's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe we're wrong.
There we are, but that sounds right.
Yeah. No, that was a real pleasant surprise, that book.
No, that was a solid week. I mean, I read 9 books. I mean, yes, it technically should have been 11, but hey, that's a lot of books. I read 9 books, and you know, the only one that I was kind of murky on was Heroes in Crisis. But even that had good things in it. So, like, yeah. So if you thought we were being too negative at the start and you turned this off, I'm upset about that
because you're here to listen to this anyway. So
because it was a delightful gravy train of positivity, pretty much after that. So here we are. But that's been us. I will tell you what's coming next week on the show. It is thankfully a quieter week, because we need it. So coming next week is Batman 68, Justice League 21, The Green Lantern number 6, Young Justice issue 4, Adventures of the Super Sons issue 9, Female Furies number 3. Also out next week, but not covered by us, is Deathstroke 42, Harley Quinn 60, and Suicide Squad Black Files issue 6. At least according to the solicits.
Yeah, nothing jumped at me there, but probably worth mentioning that we probably won't be covering Female Furies next week because Matt was the one reading that.
That's true. That's very true.
But I imagine he'll be back to covering that with 4.
Yeah.
Unless things change.
It's a quieter week. We might do questions next week, so keep an eye on the Twitter for questions.
Maybe we'll get punishment issues done.
Maybe we'll do punishment issues.
Spare Matt. He doesn't need to hear that.
But yeah, because if we're not doing Female Furies, there's only 5 books. And one of them I'm not reading, one of them you're not reading, so I only have 4.
What am I not reading?
You're not reading Super Sons?
Or Young Justice.
Oh, good point. You only get 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I might manage to read all my books next week.
Yeah, we'll do questions next week. So pay attention on Twitter, and we'll put out some questions at DC Comics Podcast. Follow us on there. Of course, you can support us in other ways. You can like, subscribe, comment on the videos and that kind of thing. Rate us on your iTunes or podcast app. You can, of course, go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us over there financially at $1 a month or more. You get some bonuses, you get some exclusives, yada yada yada. Go have a look and see what's on offer.
Yeah, we got a monthly episode coming up very soon.
We just had one go up recently as well.
We did, but we've got one coming up hopefully in the next week or so.
Yeah, we're doing Geoff Johns, Gary Frank, Shazam.
Should be there before the next episode.
Before the movie. So
is that before the next episode? It might be actually.
But yeah, that's time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it should be out during the week. So look out for that if you're a patron at the $5 tier and up. But yeah, whether or not you'd want to support us after this shambles of an episode, I don't know.
I wouldn't blame you. I'm not gonna lie.
Connor basically drove the show into a creek in this episode, and I can only hope that enough people have survived that will come back swinging next week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It was a long day at work. I came back and I had a shitload of comics to read, and I don't know what happened. It just broke me. I've not been used to working the Saturdays as much lately, and then they're swinging with a vengeance.
Great ginger degrader. So that is us. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, but always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.